Hello there, Capricorn. Thank you so much for stopping by for your weekly tarot video forecast. This forecast is for the week of April the 18th through the 24th. You would think I would remember that by now. So anyway, we are going to pull one card for each day. We're going to take a peek at the highlights of each day and see if there's some kind of theme that moves through the week. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. Be nice to catch it if there is. This is a general reading. As I'm shuffling, I'm just going to remind you of that. And that means that not everything that I say here is going to apply to every single Capricorn, although most of it will apply to most of you. So if you guys would like to get a private reading where I'm looking strictly at just your energy so that every bit does apply to you, then you can see how to do that on that website right there at the top of my head. That is where you find all my contact information, all the details about the other services I offer, all that good stuff. Okay, so let's take a peek at your cards here. Who is this? Capricorn, right? Yep. Okay, so Capricorn, let's look at your weekend cards first, then we'll go back and talk about them. Saturday, you have the Hermit card coming up in reverse. Very nice. And Sunday, you have the Tower card. Well, isn't that interesting? Let's talk about Saturday first. So here, when the Hermit card shows up in reverse, this just means that you have spent some time really to yourself, a time where you weren't necessarily interrupted or interfered with in any way, influenced in any way, to really examine yourself and what makes you tick, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, all those good things. And then you came up with some good priorities to help you moving forward. You kind of thought about, where am I now in my life? Where do I want to be? And now you've got some new priorities and you're coming out into the public and acting on those new priorities on Saturday. So the old version of you that operated under the old operating system, that's gone. Now this is Capricorn 2.0, or maybe you've done this before. Maybe it's 15.0, maybe it's 75.0, but it's a new version of you. And there's no going back to that old version with those old priorities anymore because those priorities are outdated. Now you're moving forward with your new priorities, going towards that new goal or that new dream. Very exciting. And then Sunday, we have the Tower. I can't help but think that you guys are not shaking things up. You come out of this hermit time, you're ready to operate on these new priorities. And next thing, we've got the Tower. Come on, you know you're shaking things up. This is all about you. You're looking around and you're going, I don't like this. I don't like that. We're going to just tear this all down and we're going to start to rebuild in a way that makes sense and that works and that is solid and sturdy. So that's what I see for your weekend. Looks like there could definitely be a pivot in your life with this. The nice thing that I think of is nice about this, because, I'm a Scorpio, power is really important to me. And so what I think is nice about this is that you're the one making the change. These changes are not being directed from the outside to you. You're the one creating that tower. You're strategically blowing up that building so that it can be redone. Okay? If you think of mining, like where, say that say that somebody wants to put in a road, like a highway, an interstate, through somewhere where there's mountains, what they would do is they would plant dynamite. They would drill holes and plant dynamite in the mountain at places where they knew they needed some space for the road to go through. So they were very strategic about it. They weren't blowing up dynamite just anywhere and everywhere all over the mountain. They were just blowing it up at the places that made sense. And that's what's going on here. That's what's going on this weekend. You're coming out of Sunday with a plan about what you need to shake up and make changes to, and now you're strategically doing that. You're the one in control of that. All right, so let's look at the cards for the week, and then we're going to talk about how those play out a little bit, or at least examples of how they might play out. Monday, we have the Four of Pentacles in reverse. By the way, this is my Mists of Avalon deck that I bought from a lady who lives in, or at least did live in, Odessa, Ukraine. I don't know if she still does or not. I hope she does. Let's see. Tuesday, we have the Emperor. Wednesday, we have the Six of Swords in reverse. Thursday, we have the Hanged Man in reverse. Friday, we have the Eight of Swords. Okay, so what we've got going on Monday is you're taking something that you have stashed away in the past and you're getting that out and using it. So this could very easily be money, and maybe you stashed it away to pay for a car and now you're buying a car. Uh, it could also be that you stashed it away for something specific and now there are repairs that have to be made around the house. So you're pulling it out to do that instead. You don't have to be pulling it out for what you planned on it, although sometimes that does happen and that's nice when it works out that way. But you're taking something that you stashed away and pulling it out to use it. Also, it does not have to be money. I had this card come up before for a lady she had stashed away a handgun for her niece. Um, and this lady lived in Missouri. She had stashed away a handgun for her niece. And I think her niece was turning 16 or 18. I can't remember exactly. And so she had went and got this gun out of the safe and cleaned it up and all that good stuff because she was going to present it to her niece. So it can come up that you stashing anything. Okay, it doesn't have to be just money. Now let's look at Tuesday. Here we have the Emperor. So on Tuesday with the Emperor, this just means that we are taking control of some kind of situation in our lives where we may have been letting somebody else make some decisions on our behalf before. And now we're saying, you know what, I'm the one qualified to make those decisions. You don't know everything going on in my life and what I need and what I don't need. And remember, we already saw that you're shaking things up. So if this person did think that they knew what you needed, now all of that's outdated. And so you're taking control back from that person. You're not allowing them to continue to make decisions on your behalf or for you and just automatically expect you to roll with them. No, you're taking that power back so you can make your own decisions. Now, looking at Wednesday, here we have the Nine of Swords showing up in reverse. This just tells me that you are relaxing. You're taking a chill pill, man. So Nine of Swords in reverse says, man, I was really stressed out about something. And the fact that this comes up in reverse, this says, but now either something in that situation has changed or I have done some self work, so I'm no longer hanging on to that situation with my bare hands for the outcome. I'm letting the cookie crumble however it needs to crumble. Either way, the bottom line is we see you much more relaxed than what you have been. Now, boop-ba-da-doo, boop-ba-da-doo. Okay, Capricorn, looking at Thursday, we have the Hanged Man, but the Hanged Man is showing up in reverse. This just tells me you've been thinking some things over, you've been pondering them. Now you're ready. Let's take action. Let's go for it. Let's do this thing. Where before you were like, I'm not sure which direction I want to go. There was a little bit of that paralysis because you didn't really have a decision made just yet. Once you get this solution figured out and you have your decisions, it's go time for you. Thursday is no procrastination. This is just straight ahead. Now, Friday, Eight of Swords. So Friday we see you here really overthinking something, asking, second guessing it. The best advice that comes up with this card is to try having an imaginary conversation with somebody that is more neutral in your life, like maybe the mailman, and try explaining the situation to them to see, like, in your mind as you hear yourself explaining it, even to a pretend person. Sometimes as we just hear our own words come out, we're like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Not always, though. So you want to have this conversation with a pretend person that's neutral and see, what kind of input might they have. Even in your imagination, a lot of times that can be very helpful. And if it's not, then actually find a neutral person and tell them the situation and get their feedback. That's going to be what helps you break out of this second guessing everything and not really knowing how to move forward. Okay? And it may be that they say something and you go, yeah, that is definitely not what I want. And a lot of times when we know what we don't want, we know what we do want. Okay? So get somebody objective to just be your sounding board. and that'll help you a lot. So that's your week, Capricorn. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and hanging out with me. I know I'm going to see some of you here for readings this week, and I'll see the rest of you back on the next video. Y'all have a fantastic week. Peace out.